Jeff Miles is a guitarist, composer, and producer known for his dynamic sound and evocative improvisations. A Berklee College of Music graduate and winner of the 2008 Montreux Jazz Guitar competition, Jeff has captivated audiences worldwide at renowned venues and festivals, including the Montreux Jazz Festival, Monterrey Jazz Festival, and Smalls Jazz Club. Residing in Brooklyn, New York, he continues to push musical boundaries with his orchestral palette and artistry, earning recognition on numerous recordings and stages across the globe. So, Jeff, my friend, good to see you. Happy
Good to
Wednesday.
see you as well. Yeah, to you as well, Abe. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jeff, let's kind of like go back a little bit. I know we're both older at this point, but let's kind of go back to Berkeley a little bit. From the
Sure.
outside looking in, it seemed like Berkeley was a really positive experience for you in your terms of your development and learning the music. So, would you say it was a
Oh,
positive experience?
absolutely. Yeah, when I got to Berkeley, I felt like I didn't have a lot together, and I felt like it was the students and the people I started meeting. It was sort of the first time in my life where I felt like I was surrounded by like-minded people. I went through high school sort of feeling like not really knowing what I wanted to do. And as soon as I got to Berkeley, I felt like I was just surrounded by a bunch of other me's, and me's who had maybe been doing what I wanted to do for longer and had more information that they could be giving me. I remember hanging out with, did you know Tom Stoker? Did you ever know Tom
No,
Stoker?
I don't. I don't actually.
When did you graduate?
Well, I was supposed to graduate 2009, but I finished a
Okay.
semester early in 2008.
Right, because I graduated, I think I graduated '09.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
basically, it
yeah.
was like I think we're the same year, but
Right.
I did the summer semester one time.
Right. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just started meeting people who like Tom comes to mind and people who just already were doing things that I wish I could do. And that was super inspiring. And yeah, right off the bat, I just felt like I just started getting my butt kicked really hard. Not to mention the incredible faculty and the classes. Like I remember a lot of people when I got there, a lot of my friends and the people I was meeting were sort of like they had tested out of a bunch of courses and they they were sort of like not poo-pooing, but they were just sort of like, to them it seemed like the beginning of Berkeley was a little too easy, and for me it was just like, whoa, like all this great information that I needed. So yeah, Berkeley was incredible for me.
Did you have a jazz teacher before going to Berkeley? Like, were you checking out
Yes,
jazz
yes,
guitarists in high school and stuff?
yeah, John Garner. Shout out to John Garner, my first jazz guitar teacher in San Diego, California, where I'm from. Um, he had started hipping me to recordings, and he was like a big gateway into that world. I sort of, I think I went through the progression that most of us guitar players go through. It was like blues guitar. But then, it was just sort of a steady progression. And by the time I got to Berkeley, I was ready. I was ready um, to step it up. I think I was already into like fusion and stuff at that time.
But did the interest in jazz come from him, or was something that you kind of, discovered on your own?
Great question. I think that my personal interest in jazz had more to do with my interest in music in general. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I think that at this current time in reality, or in this current
In the
time,
Matrix.
and yeah, whatever we want to call it, I think that jazz, the language of jazz, bebop, however you want to frame it, is one of, or if not the most sophisticated way of talking music or saying music, right? In my opinion. I mean, some people might argue that contemporary classical music is more, but I mean, the language of jazz seems to just be an evolution of Bach. It just seems to be an evolution of just like, melody. And I think that my interest in jazz was more sparked by just like, this is the apex of music. Let's investigate this and let's check out the people who are the geniuses who are delving into this language.
Yeah, I mean, you must have heard some stuff like somewhere, someplace though. In order to have that to even know about the music though. Uh did you go to any concerts or anything like that? Or was it like you just heard some people improvising? Like, I mean, I know I'm just trying to dive
Yeah,
deep.
well, Yeah, totally. I think that my interest in improvisation was there from the beginning. I took jazz piano lessons. I was playing jazz piano when I was like 9 or 10.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know. I played classical piano from 6. I was really bad. I used to just get up on recitals. I would get up and play recitals in my baseball uniform because like my parents, we'd have a baseball game after the recital. So I'd get up in my baseball uniform and I just remember trying to play the Mozart and just like freezing,
Yeah.
and just like having just crazy memory slips that's sort of scarred me for life. But yeah, and then so I started jazz piano. I was like 9 or 10, and I didn't even know, what making changes was, but I knew that I could play these notes, and these notes fit over this part of the song, that these notes fit over that part of the song. I didn't really know it was jazz though. And then but improvisation was always there for me. And then I think as I just got better at guitar, improvising was always the main thing. So I was always checking out improvisers, and I think that maybe, I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, no, no,
There's
no. I think it's
the
great. I think it's no, I'm just kind of, just curious what sparked it, but that's you're coming from a classical piano and jazz piano background. So you had heard it somewhere, someplace
yeah.
growing up. And then
Yeah,
it
I
was just a
mean,
natural evolution from there.
jazz was not in my household. My household was like Motown and classical music, and my dad loved Bob Dylan and Neil Young, and I loved that music too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's great. I mean, and to go on to winning the Montreux guitar competition, I
yeah,
mean, from the outside, looking in the way, even when you were probably like, probably around 2008, around that time, you seem so just relaxed and in your element playing the music and stuff. Like it came by me to no surprise that, you won the competition. Did that open up like some doors for you in terms of your career? Or was it just like, just something you can kind of add to your, resume in a sense? Because sometimes people think like this can happen, and now the whole world opens up to me in the jazz world.
yeah. I think that not a lot changed for me in terms of like my career. This happened right. I won that competition right right as I was moving to New York City. And I think that the biggest impact it probably had on me was just maybe getting my name maybe out into the community a little more, so that maybe some older musicians knew who I was. And it was, if I played a session with somebody, I met somebody, your name sort of already, they'd already heard your name.
Yeah.
I think you still have to get in the room with people and play good. You still have to, you know, make the music happen. That competition was interesting. Um, I think I was playing in a certain way that got me to win it. I wasn't too crazy. My friend Travis Reuter was there in the same competition, and he was playing just so good, but super like adventurous and creative. And I was a little more, um, maybe in the, slightly more modern jazzy or a little more traditional. So, I think that worked in my favor to win it. There were great players though, and competitions are kind of,
Yeah. I mean, it's a subjective thing. Nonetheless,
yeah,
you deserve
yeah,
to win. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So,
yeah.
you know,
I think I
um,
also I think I tried to present my set more as like as if it was a show. I didn't I think I Rick Peckham, do you know Rick Peckham from Berkeley? I think he gave me some advice, and he told me that I should like, have arrangements for the band. And so I definitely had some really easy arrangements for them to read that I think other people weren't really doing. Other people were just sort of calling tunes and stuff. So
oh, okay, yeah. So you were a little bit more, adventurous and not just playing tunes and just
yeah.
doing more of your ideas
I mean,
compositionally.
I definitely played tunes, but I think I just wrote some hits so that it sounded like we were playing together.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. I mean, we're talking about 2008. This is going back like 17 years. It's a long time ago, but it's not.
17 years.
Well, yeah,
Jeez.
2025.
Yeah. We're so in the future, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's the thing, you mentioned that you won the competition right around the time you were moving to New York. So you've been in the New York area like, since then essentially, and you're
Yeah.
from the West Coast.
Yeah.
Did you ever want to go back and, or you're like when you got to New York, you're like, this is my home now? Or did you kind of
I
ever? consider other
I
places like that?
I do feel like New York. I don't know how you feel about. I mean, I definitely feel like New York. Where do you live, Abe? Where are you?
I'm in Jersey.
You're in Jersey. Okay,
Yeah, but I've been
cool.
going to New York for since like high school, like we
Where are you from originally? Are you from Jersey?
Jersey, yeah.
Oh wow.
My house is basically my house is next to the town I grew up in,
Oh
you know,
sweet. Okay, cool. Yeah.
right next door. I'm like I mean I lived in New York for a bit, just
Yeah.
to see what it was like and stuff, but you can't take the Jersey out of people like me.
Right. It's baked in.
Yeah, exactly.
Baked in like automation on a on in Pro Tools or some terrible DAW reference. Yeah, so yeah, I'm from San Diego, and when I moved to New York, as soon as I moved to the East Coast and I moved to Berkeley, I already felt like the East Coast was more home to me.
Yeah.
Just the you're in California, you get on your car, you're on the freeway, you're sort of like separated from everyone, and being in New York, I like getting on the subway and being close to people, and yeah, and feeling that energy. Yeah, I think I'll be in New York for a while, especially considering just the level. It's still, I mean, even today, I still think that the level of musicianship in New York is just still so high, in comparison to the world. Like this is still, I think, a place people come to meet great musicians and to make
Yeah, and there's so many of them, you have to make yourself stand out. Or
yeah,
and knowing at any
yeah.
point at any time someone could walk into where you're playing. There's that
Yeah,
added pressure.
totally. My friend was just telling me that Brad Meldau was just walked into one of his gigs and was just sitting checking him out.
Where was
And
that?
one of his, he was playing at a hotel, and Brad was staying at the hotel. Just happened, he's recording. I don't know where Brad lives,
He lives in
but
the Hudson Valley area, I think.
yeah, so he's in town to make a record, and he just happened to be staying at the hotel that my friend plays a steady gig at. So my friend like looks behind him and is playing in front for Brad Meldau. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
incredible.
I've had some wild experiences like that, and I'm sure you have as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned Brad. Like I think I remember I saw you at a like I said Brad was playing at Smalls one time in like probably 2000 like eight around. I think I saw you
Yeah.
there that time.
Oh, really? Like, was I just in the club?
You were just there checking it
Yeah,
out.
just hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing with, I have a good memory. He was playing with Chris Potter,
Uh-huh.
Joe Martin,
Yeah.
and Marcus Gilmore.
That sounds like a band I would go see.
Yeah.
Sounds like a group of great musicians.
Yeah, I just have a wild memory. I remember shit like this. So, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I saw someone somewhere,
Are you
it's
photographic? Can you remember music and stuff really well?
um I can remember movie lines like I don't know, I don't know what's up with my memory like, but I could like if you started talking to me right now and you like asked me to like I could do the whole lines of movies from beginning to end.
Ghostbusters.
Well, that one I have to think for a second.
It starts in the library, right? You're in the there's like the ghost in the library, right?
Yeah.
Or something.
Once I get into, I could do Ghostbusters too, probably, I think.
Ghostbusters 2. I don't remember that one at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's
Yeah,
just where our brains are all different. Like,
it's
in
true.
that
Yeah.
sense, like, I can remember shit and I like can sit down and like, I'm really into building Legos for adults now. Like, that's something I like doing.
Or like, what is? I didn't know Legos existed for
Oh,
adults.
yeah. They make like 18 plus Lego sets for ages 18 plus.
You must be an adult
Yeah,
to like
exactly. And one of them is a jazz club. Like, it took me like, 10 hours to do.
Oh, because
Uh,
they're like they're more challenging.
Yeah, my like I'm into stuff like that, but when it comes to like playing by ear and shit, like
Yeah.
if I have my guitar in my hands, it's like it's pretty quickly, but like I can't like hear certain notes and like you know what I mean, like some
Yeah.
stuff. I need if I have my guitar, I'm comfortable. I need like a reference point in terms of ear
Right.
ear
Totally.
training.
Yeah. I don't have perfect pitch either. Perfect pitch is weird, and I sometimes I feel like people who I've met with perfect pitch, it's almost like they're upset they have it, or sometimes it can bother them. I think really good like yeah, like what you're saying, if the instrument's in your hands, just having like an intuitive feel for it, you know. So
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead, sorry.
no, some people can like hear stuff and like know exactly like can oh, he's playing this and he's playing
Right.
that. Like a lot, like if someone's playing like a line, like they know exactly. But like if
Right.
I have my guitar, I could, it's easy in that sense, like easier than
You
just
know
like,
what?
oh, I know those intervals and he's playing this and he's going to there. Like, my ears.
Something I've been noticing in guitar players, and I've been thinking about in terms of myself recently, is whether or not to look at the fretboard while I'm playing. I notice there's like, it's a lot, I think Schofield doesn't look, I think, it's interesting who is looking at the fretboard and who is not. I think classical guitar players, I feel like I see classical players looking more at their hands, but jazz players, I'm always amazed when I see improvisers who are making decisions, on the fly and moving around the fretboard without looking.
Yeah, well, I think when you shut down that sense of seeing the guitar, like you let the music come through you. But
Yeah,
like, but it's we might say, oh, we're gonna do that, but then like we forget instantaneously on the gig. It's like you have to
yeah.
consciously tell yourself to don't look.
Maybe it's something that because you're doing it when you're young. If you start young, maybe it's just baked in, and you're just used to just not looking. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you seem, but I mean, you seem as just as passionate as you ever like, now than you've ever been about playing and stuff. And
yeah. I mean, I still love it. I'm still working really hard. You know what keeps me going is just the sense of progression, and I feel like just that sense that that you'll never be done, and
no, never.
there's always something new to discover in all the realms, in creativity. Like you can always be more creative, which is crazy because how often do we run into moments where we feel like we're stuck in a rut or we're playing the same stuff, and yet there's so much more to discover. It's
What are
almost
you
like
what are you trying to discover now? Do you have like a set thing? You're like, I'm really into this idea right now for this
Yeah,
period of time.
yeah, totally. I mean, I think I'm in an interesting place in my development right now where I'm sort of in this place where I feel like I'm discovering new things, but it also feels really challenging because I'm sort of in a place it feels like the things I'm discovering are, I don't know, I want to say more personal, but I don't know. I don't want to say deeper is also not the right word. It's just you're older. It's more challenging. You're working through more difficult materials, and I'm also dealing with. I, when I work on things, I tend to compartmentalize. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
No, I think that's fine.
I tend to look at I tend to focus on like my body, and like right now I study with a great teacher who has changed my life. His name is David Leisner. He wrote a great book called Playing with Ease, which has changed my life, and I can't recommend that book enough. I think that for me, the two biggest books in guitar pedagogy right now are The Advancing Guitarist by Mick Goodrick, the late Mick Goodrick, and David's book Playing with Ease. For me, those are the two big ones. But it's all my studies with him are just purely physical, or it's like learning how the body is interfacing with the instrument, how to get the body to interface with the instrument in the most efficient way, the most comfortable way, and then taking that and bringing that to all the conceptual stuff that I'm doing too, the all that work. And so I'll sort of compartmentalize. I'll spend an hour in the morning just working on stuff with David, and then the second hour or whatever will be more, theoretical or conceptual kind of stuff. And then maybe the third hour will be like more creative and seeing what I can do with all of the stuff that I've been working on.
Yeah, so
I,
it's like you really are more focused on the physical aspects of your body and the way, I guess the way
oh,
the muscles feel, that sort of thing, and the
yeah,
way,
yeah,
being
totally.
relaxed.
Yeah, it's that avenue is just as deep as like learning
Oh yeah, man,
the
I had neck surgery
content.
like
It's
3 years
crazy.
ago.
What?
Yeah, I had like some
What
really
happened?
bad No, the left side of my like the nerves in my head were like the back of my like the base of my skull were like so
Yeah.
there was so much scar tissue and stuff that it built up. It like choked the nerve complete. I had a like a
From
nerve de
always because you're always to the left because
No, I
you're
was
always
always
to the
looking
left.
down like this
Right.
for
Yeah.
like 20 years and then
Yeah.
the surgery like actually like really helped a lot, but I had to change my technique completely because
Does it ever has it ever affected your hands?
no, it never went really down my arms. It was like really locked into this like one area,
Yeah.
and then we did all types of treatments for it and stuff, and then like they worked the treatments like Botox and you know injections, but then like if you wanted like a permanent solution, you can kind of just get this surgery, and that's what I did.
Did you
Yeah.
what did you have to change about your technique?
Well, basically, like now I'm like just not putting my head like all the way down like
Right.
this. Like
I'm
I was like
terrible.
that.
I'm terrible with that, man. I always like I pardon me. I really don't like seeing some videos of myself sometimes because sometimes I let my head fall forward too much, and that's I think it's and again I think it's because like of my from when I was younger, always like really looking at the fretboard and being in the fretboard with my eyes. And so yeah, I'm working on the same thing, trying to come out of the fretboard a little bit, having my head up above the body. So, but your surgery is okay. You're okay now.
Oh yeah, yeah, I feel fine. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, man. It's just you're right to be like thinking about all this physical stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I've had to relearn how to play the guitar two times in my life from two different injuries, and I think that's sort of
what kind of injuries
why.
did you have?
Just mostly centered in the left arm. I fell skiing one time, and it just completely like I just couldn't push the notes down anymore. It was really weird. My injuries have been strange, where there hasn't really been any pain involved. It's been more of like my body just saying we can no longer do it that way.
Yeah.
And and I think it's again probably it's just stemming from playing when I was younger, having lots, man, when you're young and you get on stage and you got the adrenaline surging through you and you're tensed up and playing really energetic music, you can build a lot of bad habits.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like, especially like, carrying tension when, you know what I mean? Which is like, I
yeah,
think the hardest thing to get rid of. I focus on that every day.
yeah.
Like,
What do you do to release tension?
oh, meditate and stuff and,
Yeah,
what's it called? And certain stretching, but a lot of it is more of a mental thing for me at this point.
right. Yeah.
Like talking to the pain and telling it to go away.
Mm.
It's really weird. I mean, there's also a physical component as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. The way we interact, the way we um um interact with our bodies is strange, and it's crazy how powerful our mind is
the
and
mind is
how
everything.
yeah, but the body is there too. It's like
Mhm.
but if your body, your body is giving you signals saying there is a problem here, and it might be very subtle, and even the subtle stuff, if left unchecked, can spiral out,
Yeah.
it's just tricky. And playing a musical instrument is like it's a strange window into that relationship, right? Like your mind and your body. It's like the instrument is really good at telling you, like, hey,
Yeah.
you might be doing something incorrect.
Well, I think that's, another, some people, I mean, people use substances or have a drink and
Yeah,
stuff, and that can like just get you out of your body in a sense, and your body's
totally.
freer, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think it's wild how um, and I also think very telling about how challenging this music, is the music that we're talking, just this general music that we're talking about.
It's so
Is
hard, in my
it's very
opinion.
hard, and and it's very telling how when this language was being evolved, right, there was a lot of drug use. I think maybe possibly because it's so challenging that it was doing something so crazy to your brain that you had to do this thing to get over the challenge. And now it's very interesting how the younger generation is a lot cleaner
Oh
and
yeah, no, no
and
alcohol. Yeah,
playing even better,
yeah,
right? I mean, the level is super high, and yet everyone's super clean. It's like we've evolved, human beings. We've moved. We've like it's like we've regulated it. We've down regulated, like your digestion or something. Imagine if you had to like work to digest your food, you'd be busy all day. you know. But we've your digestion is taken care of for you, and we've regulated it. So in the same way, like we're learning to regulate this super challenging thing, and we're seeing like the explosion. I'm really scared. The next when we're old, when we're really old, I think that people are going to be playing like absolute insanity.
Well, they already
If
are.
they already are, but dude, like multiply that out. Like, I mean, we're seeing insanity happen only within the last like 10, 15 years, thanks to the internet. Exponentially multiply that out for the next 30 years, dude. When we're
Yeah.
80, it's gonna be crazy.
No, I mean
Like,
I do think you're right to some extent, but at the same time, until someone like does like, like sacrifices everything and like they say all John Coltrane did was practice and play, you know?
mm,
And until someone like that's all they do, you know, and they like could they ever really get to, I mean we haven't seen it since the 60s in my when it comes to like John
totally.
Coltrane.
I think that
Well, Michael Brecker technically did some
yeah,
things,
I think
too.
there's going to be there's a John Coltrane. I think that about that a lot. I think about like the Coltrane of guitar. I think that Holdsworth is close to being a Coltrane on guitar. Uh, I think that we haven't quite yet seen like because I think the guitar is still we're still sort of ironing out some of the kinks. I think we're still sort of like I'm noticing a lot of um, like in in classical music, like they have names for the way you hold the bow. The
Yeah.
Franco-Belgian grip, the German grip, or whatever. I don't know the names, but there's like they've codified the name of how to hold the bow. Do we have anything like that for pick hold? We have nothing like that.
No, and
There's
there's so many
no.
ways to hold the pick.
We say Benson. People will say Benson
The
picking,
Benson pick when you're like,
yeah, and I'm noticing that Benson picking is becoming a little more like I think Benson. I've actually switched to Benson picking in the last. If maybe it's been about a year that I've like flipped the pick, and I'm doing Benson picking now too. For my entire life I wasn't.
yeah, I do it sometimes too. It certainly
Yeah.
frees you up.
Why do you what you switch back and forth?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, it all really depends. Like, I mean, like, like sometimes I'll try to play like the Benson way, but then sometimes if I want to play like some lines, like I have to do like what Pat Martino did, in a
Like what?
sense.
What do you mean?
Like just get everything off the neck so that way you just can totally just move back and forth like that as opposed to like this. It just, I mean, there's
Oh,
just a lot of different ways I think
yeah.
about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that someday maybe I'm wrong. I could be totally. I'm wrong about so much stuff in my life, but maybe there could possibly be a reality in the future where everyone picks the same way because there is a right way to do it. There
Hmm.
is the best. I mean, we all have the same hand, and
Right.
we all move our fingers. This is a machine,
Yeah.
and we all move this machine the same way. And if I have a pick, which is also like a machine, and a guitar, which is a machine, it would make sense that there would be a smart way of doing it.
Well, do you know that guy? What's his name? I think his name is Mark something. He like builds like booby traps on lines and stuff.
What?
He built a bowling ball like a thing. It's like it can always bowl. Like like when you have two bowling
Oh,
pins
yeah,
that are
yeah,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Like he built a machine that can like knock them out exactly the way they need to be. So
Right.
maybe they'll explore something with robots to say what is the actual best way to do this.
That's terrifying. I don't want to see this. But I mean, it's an interesting idea. And if this were to be true, then like you could potentially in the future see everyone holding the pick the same way, picking the same way. And because I think the left hand, I think classical guitar players have sort of figured out the left hand.
Yeah, four fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Um,
I mean like I mean a lot of players play with three, like
what do you mean?
like they think they rarely use the pinky for chords, but a lot of stuff is done just with three fingers.
like guitar like improvisers or like
Yeah, yeah,
only
yeah.
only use three?
I
I've
mean,
always yeah.
you see more of like just kind of like using three, and the pinky is not as prevalent. Like,
Yeah. I love
Garrison Fuel?
I know the name. I don't think I ever studied with him. He's a
Yeah,
great player though.
he was very into that. But then no, my teacher was like at Berkeley, he was like, no, you're using all four fingers. We did the
Right.
classical scales ways on the guitar.
Okay.
And I will never switch back, but
Yeah.
it's just I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many ways to do things,
Yeah.
and there's
And
so much to
and
take from.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why guitar is in such a cool place because we're all playing it differently, and that's a great part of the instrument. It's like, maybe we should stay away from like everyone doing it the same. But if it does get codified in the future, I think the whole reason I thought of that was because I was thinking like the next John Coltrane on guitar.
Well,
And
I always think of Pat Martino as like, in a way, like I know like different, but like just
yeah,
in terms of someone
sure.
uh, who revolutionized the instrument in
Totally.
jazz.
And so young too, man. Like those recordings, like some of those recordings of him that are just hyper burning. He's like 21 and he's just
Yeah.
like absolutely like playing, out of his mind. But Pat never, I mean, maybe I'm not super familiar with Pat's discography, but I don't think Pat ever had a late Coltrane type phase, like where Coltrane, because Coltrane is as
Oh,
you get
like more
older,
freer stuff, like
yeah,
free.
or yeah, you free or whatever, however you want to call it, where it's like he's sort of let go of language, like the idea of playing like in the jazz style or bebop language, and sort of transitions into like a different, sort of more
Did
Dolphy-ish.
you ever see him play or like around 2012, 2011?
Martino?
Yeah.
No, maybe.
Around that time, his
I have a
lines were
bad
getting
memory.
were definitely getting more like dissonant in a sense and like coming in
Yeah,
and out. Like, but
I should check out late Martino. Maybe like I'm just like when I think of Martino, I think of like just like that sort of burning jazz style.
well, he went back, but I just feel like was one point where he was kind of doing a little like this the stuff sounded more dissonant, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was
Again,
cool.
maybe I'm not a I love Pat Martino. I'm not an expert on his playing.
Who are your couple favorites like the masters that you just can't get
Of
enough of?
for guitar,
Yeah.
I mean, if you put a gun, I love Ben Monder. Lately, I'm really into Brandon Seabrook. I mean, these are just the guys I'm into right now. I'm a huge Pat Metheny fan, just because Pat Metheny has his the breadth. He's just done so much. It's just burning straight ahead stuff. He can do, you know, and then his group stuff is incredible. Kurt Rosenwinkel, of course, you can't
Come on,
you can't really
Kurt's the
talk.
man, right? Kurt's
You
the
can't
man.
really talk about, yeah, you can't really talk about improvised guitar without talking about Kurt. I mean, I could just go on and on. I really love a lot of the new young players that I'm hearing today too. I think there's so many original voices now in the young scene. Um, yeah, guitar is. I love Schofield too. Like prime Schofield. There's all these great videos of Schofield like at jazz festivals. Um, where he's just throwing down so hard. Throwing down so hard.
He's the man too, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
There's so many great people. It's just, there's no shortage of people to listen to. That's the
yeah.
part.
Have
No,
you checked?
Jeff,
Have you?
this has been
Yeah,
awesome,
sorry.
like it's
Yeah,
so great to like catch up and
yeah,
have you
definitely.
on the podcast every We'll have to do it again and do another
Absolutely, man. Yeah,
guitar deep dive.
totally, dude. Absolutely,
So,
man.
what's your social media so we could, plug that in your website? Can you just let the audience
Yeah, I
know?
mean, what my website is, everything I sort of, I'm sort of old school. I really like the idea of a website, and I sort of try to keep my website up to date with all the stuff that I'm doing and all my projects. And that's jeffmilesmusic.com. I don't post a ton on social media. I really like social media, and I'm always aware of. I think Instagram's super cool because you can sort of curate, you know, I open up my Instagram and I just see like pictures, and then I see like some just super like free saxophone, and I'm just like, this
Yes,
is
it's dangerous.
it's great. I love it. It's great. It's like your own personalized television station. But
Yeah.
I don't post a ton. Maybe when I get older, or I feel like I have something to like offer the world, I'll post more on social media. But I don't post a ton on social media unless like I have like a gig that I'm I'm really excited about. So yeah, my website jeffmilesmusic.com. I am I'm really excited. I'm working on a new record that will be out hopefully um, this year. It will definitely be out this year. I don't know when, but that's I'm really excited about this new record that I'm working on. The band that I had play the music. I started I got a group happening before the 55 bar closed down. I had I found a really great band that was starting to play pretty regularly at the 55 bar, and that group I took that group into the studio. So we're
We'll definitely be on the lookout for it.
yeah,
Mhm.
really excited for it. Tracking, I'm actually tracking will be hopefully completed tomorrow. I'm doing some synthesizer stuff tomorrow, and hopefully that's it.
Beautiful. No, thanks so much, Jeff. This has been
Yeah, you
great.
bet, man. Absolutely. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah,
Nice chatting and stuff.
thank you.